Hi again. So the reason I have this faux fur lovely coat on is because today I want to talk to you about sensuality. It's also very warm in this coat, so I may just shimmy it down a little bit. Sensuality is defined as the enjoyment, expression, or pursuit of physical, especially sexual pleasure. The condition of being pleasing or fulfilling to the senses. Example, life can dazzle with its sensuality, its color. He ate the grapes with surprising sensuality. But there's a whole other side to sensuality that I find transcends the physical aspects of sexuality, that becomes more about spirituality even. For me, sensuality has always been about using my senses to seek pleasure, but with the end game of figuring out what my unique gifts and talents are, what I'm drawn to, and what my passions are. It kind of unwraps who we really are from the center. Because everyone has really unique ways of seeking pleasure, and there are things that we can all agree on, like fuzzy blankets, a warm cup of tea. If you dig deeper than that, almost to the things that maybe you don't say out loud to everybody that you'd call the small pleasures in life, there's nothing small about those things. Those are the unique things about you that you can draw out and explore. If you believe the idea that the path to happiness is finding your own bliss and seeking joy, then pleasure seeking goes hand in hand with that. We are a body with these senses and these ways of perceiving and experiencing the world to manifest something. I just wanted to share some ways that I have sought to connect with my sensuality, with my five senses, things that I do that tap me into that fire inside. So the first thing for me was to discover or rediscover my body. As a lot of us know, when we're babies, that's something that we're constantly doing. We're running around, we're grabbing our limbs, we're playing with our toes, we're trying to figure out what we are and what these different things on our body do. And then we go through a lot of weird growing pains and stages in life and very tumultuous relationships with our bodies. Of course, there are some much deeper issues in relation to our bodies that are worth looking into, but the general sort of dissatisfaction we might feel with our bodies is something that we can work on, and we can come out on the other side of that loving our bodies. An obvious way to discover your body later in adulthood is through movement and exercise. I've struggled a lot with fitness and exercise. I've always had trouble finding something that I enjoy consistently, and through the guidance of people in my life who have taught me about fitness, about connecting to my body, something that I engage in a lot is free movement. So putting down a mat and I move in whatever way I feel called to move. So sometimes that might be more stretching, it might be more yoga poses, body weight training that I'll do. It often evolves into dancing, into movement that's inspired by the music I'm listening to. So it can be really fun to play around with movement in that way. Not only is discovering your body about movement in the scope of like fitness, but also doing things that move your body in ways that you might not be familiar with and that might surprise you and excite you. I did dance classes throughout the summer that were about connecting with your body in a sensual way. It really was a challenge in letting go, and being around other beautiful souls that were trying to do the same thing was really inspiring, and it basically helped me come out of my shell or shed another layer, and it'll invariably lead to growth, especially if it is a bit challenging and difficult. Another step that kind of relates to discovering your body, but it's more about your exterior, is discovering your aesthetic. Looking at the way you adorn your body. I mean, in ancient civilizations and then in different cultures today, we are very intentional and purposeful about the way that we adorn our bodies. Part of why we look up to celebrities and performers is that they get to adorn themselves in these larger than life ways, and why not bring some of that into your own life? If it makes you feel like a queen or king to have a huge chain around your neck or a choker or big dazzling earrings, anything, then try that out. It's also about the clothes that we put on and how we feel in them. Looking beyond fashion, looking beyond what's expected, and finding pieces that make you feel like you come alive. I mentioned in my self-love video that a big thing I did was basically clean out my closet and get rid of anything that didn't feel great. It creates this snowball effect of just feeling better and better and better. Even recently, I've been buying some pieces that might be less practical, like this faux fur coat. It's been really enjoyable and gratifying to have some of those pieces that aren't necessarily practical, because we don't have to be practical about adornment. Pieces that, you know, when you put them on, you feel like you're on fire. The important thing with all of that is that you feel really good, that you're not dressing to impress anybody else, but that you impress yourself. So another part of sensuality that, you know, would not necessarily be expected is connecting with my inner self, with my higher self, to remove the different blocks and belief systems that I hold that hold me back from doing the things that would fulfill me. And some ways that I uncover that is through therapy, through meditation, journaling, through self-reflection and discovery, decluttering, you know, getting rid of things in my life, whether they're physical or even relationships that don't serve me anymore. Everything in your life is a reflection of who you are and who you aspire to be. If I'm ever bogged down by emotional distress or issues that are plaguing me, I can't move forward. It's kind of like these dams in a river that you have to find one by one and take apart so that everything starts flowing again. As you do that, you start to make space for the fun things, for the joyous things in life, for the pleasure-seeking things in life. So the final and most obvious step is to seek pleasure, and to do that in an out-of-the-box way. So like I mentioned earlier, you know, the small pleasures in life are actually where the gold is. Think about the small things that make you feel so good. For me, like, a list of things I can name are being wrapped up in a really fuzzy blanket, and I'm really particular about the blanket. It has to be one type of blanket that's really cozy and fluffy. And for me, being wrapped in that blanket and reading a book is like the most pleasurable thing ever. Also for me, having a cup of coffee and putting a creamy nut milk in it and topping it with some cinnamon and putting a little maple syrup in it, especially in these winter months, there's something so gratifying and wonderful about that. Another recent one for me is this faux fur coat, which I feel really good in. Regardless of how I use it or wear it in my life, it's just a piece that makes me feel fun and playful and gives me creative ideas. Even things like looking at nature. What kinds of things do you love to see? I love watching music videos. Watching music videos is so inspiring for me. The visual manifestation of a song, or how a song is perceived and expressed. When you can focus on and maximize one particular sense in your body, that's when you can really connect and be present with whatever it is that you're experiencing. Drinking a warm cup of coffee or eating certain foods that you love the texture of. There's something really satisfying about eating something gooey like mochi, or something juicy and crunchy like a salad with a creamy dressing. So the last thing about sensuality, and sort of the last step in this process for me, has been to celebrate the things that I find joy and pleasure in. And you can celebrate that by sharing it with people, creating out of those things. Sharing the things that bring you joy with people is an awesome way to connect with people and find like-minded people. And it's incredible to hear all the different unique, quirky little things that people find pleasure in. We are sensory individuals, and we're in a world that's meant to be experienced through our senses. So there is something so transcendental and important about working through those senses. So I really want to thank you for watching this video and taking this journey with me and listening to what I have to say. I'd love to hear any unique, quirky, interesting ways that you find pleasure, or that you experience things through your senses. If you'd like to connect with me, I'm also on Instagram. So thank you for watching, and have yourself a sensual day.